Hi guys, it's that time, it's wash up time. Snoop's just sneaked through beside me. He's puffing and panting, he's thinking about apple pies already. I haven't even done the washing yet and he's already here, look. Right, let's get this washing done and I'll tell you what's been going on today. Oh, lovely. Right, we're officially halfway through the week. So 60% done, 40% to go. I've got a full day tomorrow and then Friday I've got a dentist appointment first thing in the morning. So I'm going to wait. I've got to wait until I can go to work. The appointment is at 8:30 in the morning, so I can't go anywhere till I've had my dentist appointment. So it'll probably be about, say, 9 o'clock by the time I've finished, and then I'm going to go from here to Bury St Edmunds. I'm going to pick up the rest of my tools because at the moment I'm having to work with very few tools. It's my own fault because I thought I was only going to go for a couple of days. I was told I was going to be working over at Cambridge Friday and Monday. Well, we're into Wednesday already and I've been officially told that I'm not going to be going back to Bury St Edmunds anytime soon. So I need to get the rest of my tools over. So when I've finished at the dentist on the Friday, I'm going to go straight over to Bury, collect the rest of my tools and then take those off over to Cambridge. Do you want to go up the garden? My Snoopy wants to go up the garden. Go on in, off you go. Good boy. Right, Snoop's just gone out. I will shut the door because otherwise he'll kick the door open and hit my camera. Right, so I'm going to do the washing up. Where's my gloves? I had a phone call from my younger sister today. I was at work in Cambridge and my phone goes and I have a look and it's a message, or it's my sister on the phone. So I pick it up, she goes, "Where are you? Are you in Bury St Edmunds still?" And I said, "No, I'm in Cambridge." She said, "Oh no," she said, "I've just brought Dad over to the eye clinic and it's right next door to your garage." I said, "Yeah, I know." And that's where my elder sister took her hubby, probably about a month ago. He had to go to the same place. Anyway, she said, "I'm sat over here with Mum, thought we could pop round for a cup of coffee. I didn't realise you're in Cambridge." And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Cambridge is a little bit too far to come." So we've put what we've done, because she's been away a lot, she's been on holiday and one thing and another. She's going away to Canada in a couple of weeks' time. And I said to her, because she said we haven't had a walk for a long time, I said, "Right, when you get back from Canada, give me a call and we'll see if we can't arrange another walk," because we haven't been out, my two sisters and myself have not been out for a walk for a long time. So that's going to be arranged after my sister comes back. So I think she's going for 2 weeks and it's 2 weeks before she goes. So a month before I'll even hear anything. But yes, so it sounds like I'm going to get some walks with my sisters again, which would be lovely. What else can I tell you guys? I got a delivery today. It was some more bras that I'd ordered. These are Bravismo bras, and I got a pair of matching white bras. These are what I'd class as my work bras, and they've turned up. I've got one on at the moment, really comfortable. I put it on when I was going to do the garden. I wanted to see what it was like. Hang on, Snoop's just at the back door. Got to move my camera again. Go on in, Snoopers, in you come. There's a good boy. Right, Snoop's in. You can go and sit down, Snoop. Go and sit down. Go on, off you go. It's going to be a while before I get to the apple pies. Off you go. Go on, off you go. Go and sit yourself down. He'll be back as soon as I get the bowl out of the cupboard. So yes, I got a couple of bras today, so that's lovely. I've still got 2 more to come, which I'm hoping they're going to come tomorrow, Thursday or Friday. They've got 2 days left to come, so I'm hoping they're going to come this week. They should do. Whoops. So I had a good hit on the garden this evening. I didn't get in a dress or a skirt when I got back because I knew I'd be in the garden the lawnmower does throw up quite a few sticks, so I put my jeans on with some trainers to protect my legs. Hence what I've got on this evening, guys. But otherwise I would have had a dress on. But that leaves me free for tomorrow to put a dress on, because I won't be doing the garden tomorrow. And I think it's going to be really nice tomorrow. So I hope you have had this lovely weather as well. I put some old videos on today, and I went back a year, exactly a year, and it was exactly a year ago that I was moving about with my garages again, going over to Cambridge again. I thought, isn't that amazing? That was a whole year ago. And how I keep moving about. Time just flies. It really does fly. I was talking to a tech the other day about who's original to the garage, because a lot of these garages, I've been working for this particular firm for 10 years now, and there's not many members of staff who are still the original members of staff. In that 10 years there's been quite a bit of turnover of staff on most of the sites. Some of the sites not so bad as others, but yeah, some of them have really shed the staff, and they're all new faces, or they're all new faces from when I started in 2015. The other side to that is sometimes when you get moved to another garage, and I've done this many times, is you end up working for somebody who've worked at a previous garage, and people kind of move about within the trade, within an area, and so if you keep chopping and changing yourself within an area, you often come across people you've worked with before, be it salespeople or mechanics or stores people. You keep coming across these people you've worked with before. And the numbers involved now, because I've been at this a long time now, I've worked with hundreds of different people, and sometimes people recognise me more than I recognise them, and so they start having a chat with me. I'll meet them, say I'll be out walking, and somebody will say to me, "Oh, I haven't seen you for years," and they start talking about one of the garages I worked at, and I'm struggling to put a name to the face. And I found that when I first took this job on, because I was a floating technician, I was working across a lot of different sites. And every site you went to, you had to learn everybody's name. You know, you had to learn the stores person's name, the service manager's name, all the mechanics in the workshop. And then they'd move you to another site, and then you'd have a whole host of new names to remember. And yeah, my head's full of names, so I often make mistakes calling people the wrong names. But yeah, there's a lot of staff, and they come and go. But when I first started in the trade, I started straight from school. Now, I hadn't got a clue what I wanted to do when I left school. And 2 doors up from where we lived was a service manager at a garage. Now, this service manager knew that I worked with my dad on the car, on his car, my dad's car. His office seen us working on it. And he happened to mention to my father that they were interviewing at his garage, and whether I might be interested to go for an interview. And so my dad told me, and so that's how it all started. And I went to this garage. It was all arranged, and I had to go down on a specific day, specific time to have an interview. Well, I was still at school at the time, and you were allowed time off school for interviews. So if you had an interview to go to, the school let you go to them. And I went to this interview, and I walked down to this garage. It wasn't far from where we lived. And I rounded the corner into the yard, because you had to report to the office building. And as I walked around the corner, there's all my mates from school, all stood outside the office. As soon as I walked around the corner, they all went, "Oh no, what are you doing here?" So yes, I was amongst a whole group of my school friends. And we did the interview, which was a one-to-one with the service manager. And then you had to do like a test. It wasn't a particularly difficult test, but you had to do a test. And that was it. And all these others who were there having their interviews as well, a lot of those were doing motor mechanics at school, and I never did. I did things like woodwork and metalwork, but all the others there who were waiting outside were all doing motor mechanics at school, and I never did. I was doing motor mechanics at home with my dad, working on my dad's car with my dad. But yeah, and I got offered the job. And there was 4 apprentices taken on the same time that year when I started. I was one of 4. And it was a car and a commercial garage. Now, I haven't got the build for commercial because I've always been very slim. I haven't got any weight on me. And out of the 4 of us, 2 of the lads were quite big, and they jumped at being commercial mechanics, which was handy. So I didn't get a say in it, but I wouldn't have wanted to be a commercial mechanic, so that worked in my favour. So I was absorbed into the car workshop, and the car workshop did cars and vans. Now, the first day you started there, we didn't have all that health and safety like you do now. Whenever you change jobs now, you have to do loads of health and safety training. Well, back then you just turned up. They slapped some overalls on you, assigned you to a mechanic. You became an apprentice working with a particular mechanic, who you always called your mechanic. And I got put with a mechanic. He came from a place called Sybil Headingham, which was in Essex. That's where he came from. And he used to come to work on a motorbike. He had a Kawasaki 250. And he used to come to work. He used to pull up in the yard first thing in the morning with a full face crash helmet on, and he'd lift the visor up and he'd have a cigarette in his mouth. And I couldn't believe that he could ride his motorbike and smoke a cigarette at the same time with his visor shut. But he did. He was a really good mechanic. He wasn't there long. I should imagine within 12 months of me starting, he'd gone. He fell out with the bosses at the garage over a particular job. They assigned him a job to do, which was a body shell. Now, I don't know if you know what a body shell job is. Back in the day, this is in the 1970s, if a car was quite badly damaged and it was under 3 years old, they would often get a new body shell for it, and that's what this job was. It was a Vauxhall Viva, and it was extensively damaged and needed a new body shell. I can remember it vividly. It was a gold car with a black vinyl roof, Vauxhall Viva. So he didn't want to be given the job to do, and he made quite a noise about getting the job. He didn't want it, and they gave it to him anyway. And because I was his apprentice, I had to work with him, which was fantastic for me. It's a brilliant way to learn. And so we stripped this car down, then we got the new body in, and then we reassembled all the mechanics back into the new body. And the bit he didn't want to do, and he kept saying he didn't want to do, was the vinyl roof and the headlining. He did not want to do those. And they said, no, you've got to do it. So the vinyl roof went okay, that was all right, but it was the headlining that went wrong. And back then, you used to have to put the headlining up. It was a soft headlining, like a material headlining, and when you put it up, you had to shrink it, and you did that with steam. And the only way we had steam back then in the 1970s was we had a kettle. So you had a kettle constantly on the boil, and you were holding it in the car underneath the headline, and the steam was heating up the headlining and making it shrink. It went like a drum. And anyway, he put too much heat in one spot and he melted the headlining. And that's the reason he left. He said he didn't want the job to start with, and he'd had enough. And he left because of that. But he was a great bloke, a really, really good mechanic. I really enjoyed working with him. And I did see him a few years later. He did pop back into the garage to see us all. But yeah, he's a really good tech. And what happened then, once you'd lost your tech, is you got put with another tech, and so on, until you used all the techs up. But I didn't. I think I had 2 techs in all. I had my first one who left, and the second one who retired probably about 10 years ago, I should imagine now. I didn't work with him. He left the trade when he was in his 50s, and he went to work in a factory, and he retired from there. But yeah, he's still about. He is still about. So yeah, that's how I started up in the motor trade as an apprentice. I did a 4-year apprenticeship, And that, back then it was a City and Guilds certification you had to get. You had to go to college, you did blocks and day releases, and I went to Bury St Edmunds College, West Suffolk College, and I did my motor vehicle training there. I did factory training courses, but not while I was doing my apprenticeship. They came later. So most of the training I did when I was an apprentice was at West Suffolk, and then after that you'd then go and start doing factory training courses on specific things. But anyway, I did my apprenticeship at West Suffolk College and in the garage. Really enjoyed it. I was warned off the day I started. All the mechanics there said to me, "Oh, you don't want to be starting in the motor trade, get out now while you can." And here I am 50 years later and I'm still at it. Oh dear. Right, let's move those. Right, I'm not going to do cheese on toast tomorrow because I've still got enough food left over to do another Tupperware container full of food at the garage tomorrow. So I might do the cheese on Friday to celebrate the last day of the week. So tomorrow's going to be, it's beef and pasta. That's what I had tonight with veg, really nice. So I've got some left in the saucepan, so I'm going to dish that up later. It should be cool enough now to dish up actually, but I'll probably put it in the Tupperware container this evening and boil up the kettle and soak the saucepan, and then probably clean it in the morning. There's another thing I've done throughout my trade, chopping and changing my franchises, go from one garage to another. You often get to go on training courses. Now, when you're an apprentice, you didn't. I worked at the garage for 4 years, going to college, etc. But then when I left and I went to a different franchise, you'd then start doing franchise training, and they'd send you places to do your training. Now, when I left the Vauxhall garage, I went to work for Datsuns. Now, Datsuns then didn't do training courses. The cars were quite basic, quite simple, very reliable, but they did rust quite badly. But I didn't do any training courses when I was at Datsuns, but then I went back to that first Vauxhall garage that I left 3 years prior to that. And I started doing training courses. I went on so many training courses. I did loads and loads. I used to go to, because it was Vauxhalls, they used to send you to Luton, and they used to have the training classes were actually at the factory. That's all gone now. That part, as far as I know, has all been knocked down. I haven't been back to Luton for a long time, but that's what I used to do. I used to go there. I can remember on one occasion I had it was a 2-day course, 2-day training course. So I had to stay there. I couldn't drive backwards and forwards, so they got me a hotel, and the hotel was a pub, and it was right in the middle of Luton. And so I did the first day. I drove, I think it was a Monday. I think I drove there on the Monday, and then after I'd finished the training for that day, I had to go and find this pub. And then once I found that, you stayed there for the night. And I wasn't the only one doing this training course who was at the pub. It was obviously one they used on a regular basis. So there's probably about 5 of us from the training course at this pub. And of course, we had an evening meal, and then we all ended up in the bar. And because we were residents, you could carry on drinking. And so we did. We drank into the early hours of the morning. That's when I used to drink. I don't do it anymore, guys. I haven't drunk like that for years. So we all ended up in the bar. I don't know what time we got to bed. It was in the early hours of the morning. I wasn't very good. I was a bit ill. I can remember going to the course the next day, and all I wanted to do was sleep. I had a real job keeping my eyes open. I'd sobered up come the end of the day, but I wasn't good. Never did that again. That's the one and only time I ever did that. I was still in my 20s at the time. Still young, free and single. and used to go out with the lads drinking, and going out to parties and discos. Not that I was a dancer, but it was a case of used to go and hold the bar up. And yeah, gosh, we're going back to the 80s, guys. A long time ago. Oh my goodness. I've got Sooty down here now. Snoop's disappeared and Sooty's turned up. He's laying on that step again right beside me. Right, here we go. And that's the other thing now, that all those people I started to work with all those years ago in that very first garage, most of them have either died or retired. Well, they've all retired. They've all retired. There's quite a few who have unfortunately passed on. But yeah, it suddenly makes you realise how the time's gone. I don't feel any different to I did then. And I have got some old photos of me in my overalls at the first garage. I found them, oh gosh, I found them quite a few years ago, and I actually stuck them in a photo album. Unfortunately, I haven't got the photo album here. That's at my old property. And I've got some lovely photos. And I look at the photo now, it's a bit like looking at an old school photo and picking yourself out. And I'm looking at this one, I'm thinking, he's dead, he's gone, he's dead. Yeah, not good, not good. I worked at another garage in Ipswich. This was probably about 5 years ago. And there was a fella there I worked with, and he was an ex-SAS soldier, special forces. And he lived in Colchester, but he worked in Ipswich. And he's a really nice bloke. And he showed me some of he used to be very good at painting. They did line drawings, then coloured them in. They were really good, really, really good. He was a very talented fella. And he used to be in the armed forces. And he showed me a photo, and it's a bit like I'm talking about these school photos where you've got a whole lineup of people and you pick them out who your mates are and where you are. Well, he had this picture of himself and all his mates when he was in the forces. And it got, a lot of them were circled. And I said, what are the ones that are circled? In fact, most of them were circled. There wasn't many that weren't circled. I said, why are they all circled? He said, they're the ones that have all gone. I said, what do you mean gone? He said, they're all dead. I went, really? And he said, yeah. And he said that a lot of them had actually committed suicide as opposed to getting killed in action. He said a lot of them had actually, when they'd come out of the forces, they couldn't cope with it and they'd actually committed suicide. And that struck me as being so sad, so sad. He was a survivor in more ways than one. But yeah, and he actually came out of the forces because he broke his leg. What happened was he was doing it was on Dartmoor. You had to do this hike across Dartmoor with a full pack in a set time limit, which he was doing. And he stepped in a rabbit hole and he snapped his leg. He broke his leg, and he broke his leg so badly that he was discharged from the forces. But he was a really nice bloke. I really got on with him well. He did leave while I was there. I don't know where he went to, but he went somewhere else. But he did come from Colchester originally. Right, I've got just this calendar to do, and then I can dish my food up into the Tupperware container for tomorrow, and then I can do my apple pies, guys. Sooty hasn't moved yet. He's still dead still. He's got his back to me. I can see him breathing. He's still alive. He's like a teddy bear. He gives you some lovely cuddles. He's a softie. He's a vicious dog to strangers. He's very sharp and very vicious. But once you get to know him, he's like a teddy bear. And he lays in your arms. He'll do this thing where he jumps on the sofa, will work his way up to your arms, and then he'll plonk himself down and then roll onto his back, so he's got his paws up in the air. He's so cute. Right, there you go. Right, it's all precariously balanced beside me, so if you hear a crash, it means it's all fallen down. Right. Okay. There's there. Right, let me do this dishing up. I'll put this over here. Okay there, got it. I'm going to fill the kettle up with some hot water or fresh water, boil it up, and I'm going to put that in that saucepan once I've dished up my food. There you go, I'll be over here. Right, here we go. Over here we go. Can you see Sooty now? See him on that step? There he is, look. He's turned his head towards me now. He was turned the other way. He knows I'm getting close to the apple pie time. Right, so kettle's on. We'll get that boiled up. I'm going to get the Tupperware container. So I'll use that one from yesterday. Strawberries from today. We'll just give it a wipe. Oh, right, that's done. Right, if I get that saucepan over here. Right. Okay, we'll need something to scoop that up with. Can you see what I've got here? This is my pasta with beef, runner beans, carrots, tomatoes. It's really nice. That's it. Perfect. That'll do me for tomorrow, guys. Right, I'll leave that there. I'm going to soak this one. I'm going to put this in the sink. There we go. Right, that's the start of it. Once the kettle's boiled, I'm going to pour all that boiling water in there as well. Perfect. Right, all done. This is going to pour this in the container in the sink. Here it goes. Right, apple pie time. Right, let's see. I'll turn that towards the door. You know Sooty's there. You can see Soot. No sign of Snoop yet. You watch this. Right, that's the bowl out on the side. Here he comes. Hello. Hello. It does. Oh, he's so turned on. He's just like that. And sometimes you do things and don't think about it, and he's there beside you. Think, yeah, he's really amazing. And he can be in the front room and he's still hear that dish come out, or me open the cupboard door to get the apple pies out. Amazing. Right. Okay. Let me do this. He's having a drink now. Can you hear him? There's one. Two. There we go. That's all done. Right, I've got my crust here. If I turn that around here so you can see my boys, I'll shut that cupboard door, slide it down a bit. There you go. Keep your eye on my boys. Okay, guys, you ready? So here they are. That's their apple pie crust. Come and sit yourselves down in, guys. Come on in, Snoop, over here. Okay, sit down, please. Stay. Stay. Yes. Right, there they go. Good boys, all done? Right, the boys are done. Right, apple pies are on. Good boy, Sooty. Right, take this apron off now. You are good boys. You are so good. You guys are so good. Yes, you are. Do you want to go up the garden then? Do you want to go up the garden, guys? Go on then, off you go. Woo. Right, boys have just gone up the garden. I'll wait for them to come back in, then I'll go in the front room. Oh, that's Snoop straight back in again. He's frightened he's going to miss something. Right, don't forget it's Father's Day this coming weekend, guys. I've got my card all ready for my dad. I'm probably going to pop it in his letterbox on the Friday morning before I go to work. Because when I come home from work on Friday, I'm going to be going straight out. Packing the car up on the Thursday evening. So it's all ready for Friday evening when I get back, and all I've got to do is load the boys up, load myself up with a small selection of toiletries and clothes, and I'm off for a secret weekend away. I don't know where I'm going yet. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. And I will take my camera with me, guys. Of course I'll take my camera with me, and I'll document it all for you so you can see where I end up going. But I don't know where I'm going. Right, I'm going to have to sign out now, and I'm going to get Sooty in, and I'm going to go and sit down and have my apple pies, and I shall do a putting the boys to bed video later on, and that's it, guys. Okay, bye bye.